This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
Welcome to episode 49 of the High Volume Hiring Podcast, the spooky Halloween edition. I'm Stephen Rothberg. I am the founder of College Recruiter, job search site. We believe that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career. And I am joined here today by my co-host.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeanette Leeds with AMS. I'm Managing Director, Executive Vice President, focusing on our hourly and high volume solutions, which combines the best of tech, people, and process. So we are so happy. You'll notice, by the way, that we have Halloween around the corner. So we're happy Halloween and happy to have Steve, who I work with. And I think all three of us have known each other for many, many years, join us today as we approach Halloween. So why don't Steve, you give us a quick intro to our audience? And
Sure, love to. Yeah, I think we're going on decades here in terms of knowing each other. So Steve Tiufekchiev, work in also the college space, actually for decades now, working here with AMS, responsible for growth of our services as it relates to college in the U.S. Really, really excited to be working in helping folks understand that there is help for folks in the college space. You don't have to do it all yourself, and AMS is there here to help you out. So very excited to be on the program as well, Steve. Good to be here.
Excellent. So we have Steve and Steven here today, in case anyone is confused. So, we're talking today. What I think is interesting is it's a high volume podcast, right? But there's different types of high volume hiring that goes on, which is why we're like, ooh, Steve, come on, and let's talk about one aspect of it. And we've certainly talked about in the past number of weeks, months, this intense demographic cliff that we are, dare I say, quickly approaching, and what impact that's going to have to talent pipeline. So I'm not saying to all of our listeners today, we're going to scare you a little bit, given it's Halloween coming up, but that might be today's
That's a frightening assertion.
So talk about, what you're seeing. We've talked about demographic cliff we're approaching and the impact.
This is going to be a real treat.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to get out my cheat sheet here in a second for Halloween terms. No, I think it's an issue that is, my term for it is going to be the Y2K of talent, or talent Y2K. It is an issue. If you think back now, for decades, we have been on a more or less decline in terms of birth rates. It's been gradual, but it's been about 2 million or so fewer birth rates over about 20 years, right? So that kind of a slow but steady decrease. What we're seeing now is a phenomenon that relates back to something that happened literally about 18 years ago, give or take. It's called a recession of 2008. That lasted for quite a few years. And the impact of that is that folks were having fewer births. They were concerned about what's going on in the economy. So fast forward to today, we're now beginning to see that impact. And that's what's referred to as the demographic cliff. It's also referred to as the enrollment cliff. Why? Because universities have been acutely aware of this for quite some time. I mean, remember, their supply chain is people. So as the supply chain decreases, it has an impact. And what we've seen now in literally the last 6-7 years is hundreds of universities closing for a variety of reasons, but many of those attributed to fewer students going to school. So that's when we talk about the enrollment cliff or the demographic cliff, what we're referring to is this now up and coming steep decline, which is projected to start in about 2025 and probably last about 6-7 years.
So I think to be clear, my thinking on this, and Steve, tell me if I'm right, where I'm missing something. There's no doubt there's this demographic decline that's been a long time coming, and it's not like every year has been increasing and all of a sudden we're going to have 2 massive years of decline and then get back on path. This is a long-term trend accelerating now.
Yep.
My thinking on it too is that yes, this has a major impact on post-secondary education, the number of students enrolling in any kind of post-secondary school. It also has broader implications for employers who are hiring any kind of talent, whether educated in college or university or not. So like, this is not just a college or university degreed candidate problem. This is also somebody who maybe didn't graduate from high school or who just graduated from high school. Is that fair?
No, it's absolutely correct. And actually what we'll frame it as is the available population to go to college is what's decreasing. So it doesn't mean those are the folks going to college, it means the available population. Now let's put some numbers behind that. So between 2025 and 2030, we're looking at about 600,000 fewer people available to go to college, right? So that in and of itself is an issue because it's about a 15 to 20%, depending on how it actually hits, decrease in the available population. Now what we have, though, are also external circumstances that are causing people to rethink even going to college. You have the high cost of college. Well, that equates to redistributing where folks are going. Instead of going to the higher priced colleges, they're going to go to different colleges, lower priced, right? Well, that means if you've been recruiting there, you're going to get fewer of those. It also means that folks are second guessing in terms of the expense and maybe going to work. When you see wages hitting $20, $21, $22 an hour, folks are looking at that. You have apprenticeships, which are beginning to get, become prevalent in the United States. That's another pressure. So to your point, it's the available population is decreasing. And then from that, you're siphoning off. So whether you recruit for early talent at college or you're recruiting for early talent to staff your positions, the supply chain is getting more scarce. That's the issue. Now, there's another side of it, which we'll talk about in a second, I think, which is the demand side. But that's what's happening with supply chain. It's a definite decrease in supply chain.
And I think this is such a key point here, right? Because we talk about a lot of times on this podcast around, again, maybe not university type of talent, but other where there's this labor shortage, right? And so just to be really clear and just hammer home this point, like what I'm really hearing is that this is going to get worse and worse because we have less people, less candidates at college. It's going to be just all over in a few years. I mean, what year?
Absolutely.
We're in 2023. Let's be clear, right? We're not too far away. You're saying 2025, 2026.
We're talking juniors
and we're not going back to 2019. Those days. Labor market, love it, hate it, whatever. Goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, I say it this way to your point, it's as good as it's going to get, right? And short of AI or there being some type of financial calamity, if we assume things are status quo in terms of the economy, we're as good as it's going to get. It's going to get worse in terms of availability. And let me talk to that for a second. So, because we are talking Halloween, so we're going to scare you a little bit here, right?
Let's keep scaring everyone.
That's demand or the supply side. The demand side is also something you have to think about. And so what folks I think may be aware of is this thing called the infrastructure bill, $1 trillion plus of stimulus. And one of the aspects of that is to bring back or repatriate semiconductor industries into the US, right? Which I think is a great thing. However, what comes with that is a huge uptick in demand on STEM of all things. When you think about who is going to be in the semiconductor industry. Again, let's put some numbers to that. So over 2025 to 2030, we're looking at net new about 1.4 million jobs is what's estimated to be added to the economy in that area. Wow. So that's over those 5 or 6 years. Now, in that spectrum of jobs is the focus on engineering, comp sci, and so forth. It's about 100,000 net new jobs created in that area. Now, why is that scary? Because as a country, we only produce about 100K graduates per year in that field, right? So you take whatever we're already doing, adding 100,000 new on top of it, and that's just that one industry. So then you think about, well, these plants that are going to be built, 5, 10, 15, 20-year projects, plumbers, electricians, welders, every other craft you can think of. So that's why I think the employers out there really need to be thinking about this, because even though it happens in an area that maybe they're not, think accounting or medicine or any other area, There's all these ripple effects that will come out of it that I think folks need to be paying attention to.
Hey, we're the payroll baddies, and our mission is to make payroll fun and relatable.
And call out industry when we hear it.
You gotta call it out. You gotta call it like you see it. But we also gotta shine a light on all those unsung payroll heroes out there, making sure we get paid.
Yeah, those are the real payroll baddies out there, and we love sharing their stories and showing them love.
With gold chain and everything, baby.
By the way, SAP is the best payroll out there, and if you don't like it,
Get out.
One of the things that
You look scared, Jeanette.
I do. Well,
it's
is
hard
so
to
much
wrap your
take-
mind around.
Because if you think about some of these numbers, actually, that you're saying, like, okay, there's, I think you said 600,000 less students. I'm hearing millions of other, new type of job, like supply and demand. Like it is.
Yeah, it's basic econ 101, right?
Yeah.
Supply and demand. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love those classes.
I want to make sure. I want to make sure before we leave off, and I'm going to share the link right here. So, Steve shared on LinkedIn a really good article the other day about the enrollment cliff. So, anybody who wants to get more information, I love a lot of stuff about LinkedIn, but one of the things that LinkedIn does terribly is to provide you with easy links to look at. So. The link that they gave me, I think, was probably like 4,872 characters long. So this is a redirect. It'll take you right to Steve's post the other day. So go to www.collegerecruiter.com/enrollment cliff. And you can type that in on a spooky keyboard or not. The choice is yours. I think we have time for one more question, and maybe we can continue to talk a little bit about the college and university piece. That's obviously for the Steves in the conversation, near and dear to our hearts. The degree requirements that I've seen forever with employers requiring bachelor's degrees to be used car salespeople, whatever. My perception of that is that over the last 3-4 years, that's not mostly gone away, but quickly going away. It's becoming unusual now, where I see postings and it's like, really? You really need this person to have a bachelor's degree? Is that what you're seeing at AMS also?
Absolutely. I think people are beginning. Here's what I would say. Years ago, we had abundance in talent, so we could do all kinds of crazy things. And many of those things were, inefficient or, to your point, really didn't correlate, whether it was degrees or even GPA, right? We're entering an age of talent scarcity that's going to follow us for quite some time. So we have to be very, very efficient and, frankly, thinking outside the box. Degree requirements are a perfect case in point. Every employer should be thinking carefully about, is that really required? Remember, 40% of the people go to college, 60% or more don't. So 60% of the population is accessible, and just by dropping that requirement. And what that really speaks to is skills and focusing on skills and assessments to determine. My wife is a returning teacher. She's going back to get her degree, and she has to go through another year of education because she only had an associate's degree. She has someone else who's teaching. They have a degree in hospitality, but because they have a 4-year degree, they can teach. She can't teach, even though she's a phenomenal teacher, because she doesn't have that 4-year degree, right? So you have this, and who needs folks? The teaching industry. So I think, to your point, we really have to think carefully about what we're asking for and change the dynamics to access this workforce to help solve this problem. Because remember, it's going to be Peter robbing Paul. There's just not enough skilled talent to go along. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the big themes that I'm seeing everywhere, right? Is around, it's all about skills first. What are the skills that's needed for the job? That's all that matters. I mean, so organizations are going through this, frankly, transformation to figure out, okay, what are our jobs? What are the skills? Let's hire for that. Let's promote for that. And it's not about, and we can teach other things, and that's so okay. So we'll see where this all leads us in the next few years. But I think we're almost at time.
We are. So Jeanette, thank you again. Steve, thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Please, next week on Halloween, No toothbrushes. That's not the day to give
No
out toothbrushes.
Good, big giant candy bars. Like, let's all do it. Let's,
There you go. And the good ones.
The good
Not, and I
ones.
guess I shouldn't name the ones that aren't any good, but Mounds comes to mind. So
I'm a
that's
big
just
fan of
my-
Almond Joy, I will say. My kids think I'm insane that I like an older person's candy, but because they think like grandma and grandpa just eat that. So it's all, everyone has their own preferences.
I'm hearing that your kids think of you as an old person. That's my takeaway.
They might, So
Well, Steve, thank you so much for
My
joining
pleasure.
us.
Thanks for asking me.
Thank you, Steve.
And I will throw up that caption here just before we leave
go
off
check
in
it
case
out.
anybody wants to see that in more depth. This has been great.
Happy
Take care,
Halloween,
folks.
everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Cheers.